Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Paramananda Madhavam. Okay, all right. So we are now in chapter 4. And last week we saw verses 24, 25, and 26. So let us read those verses together. Brahmarpanam brahmahavihi Brahmagnau brahmanahutam Brahmaiva tena gantavyam Brahma karma samadhina Daivameva pare yajñam Yoginah paryupasate Brahmagnava pare yajñam Yajñenevopajupvati. Shrotradirindriyanyanye samyamagnishu jupvati Shabdadin vishayananye indriyagnishu jupvati. Okay. So first, now we are in verse 24. The Jnani shares his or her vision of life. And this is the greatest yajna. The greatest yajna. Yajna means worship. The word yajna means worship. It comes from the word yajna. And yajna can also mean the one who is worshipped, which is Bhagavan, or the worshipper, which is Jiva. So there are very many meanings of yajna. Now here, in this context, it is worship. What is the highest form of worship or the most natural form of worship for one who is enlightened? That is verse 24, which we chant before we eat, which says that Brahma or that Brahman is everything. Brahma Arpanam, the instrument with which we offer is Brahman. Brahmahavihi, the offering is Brahman. Brahmagno, the fire into which we offer is Brahman. Brahmanahutam, and the one who is offering is also Brahman. Brahmaiva tena gantavyam, that which is to be attained is also Brahman. Brahma karma samadhina, by one who sees Brahman in all actions. So this enlightened being now lives in the world seeing that oneness, that reality amidst all of things. So although name and form appears to them, their focus is on that awareness that's underlying it and in and through it. So, for example, a jeweler, we might see gold bracelet, gold earring, gold bangle, but the jeweler will just see gold. In the same way, our eyes may get drawn to all these names and forms and figures and things, but that Brahmajnani will just see or focus on awareness, consciousness, existence. So in that way, they see Brahman in everything because Brahman is everything. We saw that this verse is not an upasana. It's not saying feel God everywhere. It is saying that God is everywhere. God is everything. In fact, God alone is, because only in the light of awareness can anything be experienced. In the light of awareness can we see, hear, smell, taste, eat, and even think. So we say this before we eat to remember what we eat for. We eat so that we can turn ourselves inwards into that awareness. So we eat carefully, we eat with moderation, we eat with that deep, intense thought that this food is nourishing this body so that I can perform my dharma cheerfully, my duties cheerfully, and serve this world as a living expression of God. That is why we eat. And we say it before we eat, because eating is something that we do so many times a day. The rishis wanted to give us something, that we at least will remember. If we say it's taking a bath, we might not do that all the time. But at least if it's eating, we do that enough times, even more than we're supposed to do. We do it. And eating is also a yajna, because obviously we offer food to this fire, to this digestive fire. So it is a yajna. It is being offered to that digestive fire, which is none other than Brahman alone. So this is how the jnani lives. Everything is through and through Brahman. And sometimes their minds are so absorbed in it that this world just appears very like a mist, like a dream almost to them, because their mind is so incredibly absorbed in it. Brahma karma samadhina. Now we saw the next topic we started. How about if we want to practice these yajnas in and through our lives? We want to practice this spirit of offering, of worshiping. How can we worship? In Sanatana Dharma, we are so blessed because we have so many ways to worship, not just one, not just at one time or one place, but everything can be a yajna for us. So now Sri Krishna is going to share with us 12 different yajnas that we can also do in our life, in addition to trying to do this Brahmarpanam yajna. So the first we saw, yajna number 1, we saw last time, was Daiva yajna. Daiva yajna means worship or offering to the gods, to the devatas, the cosmic forces. And who does this? The karmis. Karmis means those who want to get something out of life. They want good health, they want wealth, they want success. So these kinds of people who want worldly prosperity or worldly gain, they worship the devatas, the cosmic forces, and they put forth offerings into the fire. So they can offer mantras, they can offer grains, they can offer ghee, they can perform various kinds of sacrifices. And this is one kind of yajna that traditionally they used to do back in the day. How would that compare to now? Sometimes we do these homas, these yagas, these rituals. We will do Ayusha Homa. First, when somebody's birthday comes, we want to do a Homa for good health. If somebody is sick, we want to do a Mahamrityunjaya Japa for them, if somebody is sick. So all of these things that we do to invoke the cosmic forces for some worldly gain or prosperity, be it health or anything, is called Daiva Yajna. That's the first one. The second one we saw is this Brahma Jnana Yajna. Brahma Jnana Yajna means the yajna of knowledge. And here what happens is, in verse 25, I am now, the word yajna here in the second line means jiva. Jiva. So what is the fire here? Now this is kind of a metaphor. It's a metaphor saying that the fire here is actually Brahman, and the yajna is jiva. Jiva is that the one who's offering, and jiva offers themselves. So it's jiva offering the jiva himself or herself in the fire of Brahman. And this is the yajna. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about this today, because somebody asked what this process is about. I had mentioned that it is contemplation, but someone had a question about it. So I said I will clarify it in today's class, because some of you may have that similar question. So this verse is very beautiful, because the individuality, the individual jiva, offers themselves to that supreme Paramatma. Who is doing this? In the first line, we saw the karmi is doing it, someone who's desirous of worldly prosperity. Here, someone who has gained knowledge, someone who is a Brahmavid, is offering their individuality into the fire of Brahman, to the fire of the Supreme. What happens is, we all know that there are three jnana sadhanas, right? Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana. Shravanam is like eating. It's like eating. You try to take in different things. So Shravanam is when we hear about the scriptures, hopefully in a systematic way, and hopefully very single-pointed and focused. So Shravanam is like eating. And at that point, we kind of get an idea. We get an idea that I may be something else. I might not be this body, mind, intellect. I'm something else. The scriptures are saying I'm something else. Mananam is when we chew on it. We chew on it and we reflect on it and think, okay, how am I Brahman? How could I be Brahman? And so we use different methodologies of inquiry, be it the seen and seer, the seer and seen, or be it the 3 states of Avasthatraya, or 5 sheets, Panchakosha. So we do all of these methods of inquiry, and then we begin to understand, yes, I am Brahman. I can see, I can logically see, I can understand. It's very, very clear to me. A simple logic, I'll tell you, the seer and seen, right? So we see this book. This book is seen. I am the seer, and therefore we are different, right? I am the seer. This book is seen. Therefore, I'm different from the book, right? I cannot be this book. I am the seer, and this body is seen, different. So I cannot be this body. In the same way, I cannot be the book. I cannot be this body. I am the seer. My mind is seen. Therefore, they are different. I cannot be my mind. So who am I? I am this ultimate seer. That's what we call Atma, Sakshi. And that seer is the substratum of the whole world. So the simple process that I'm just telling you in a few lines, but there's a whole, there are whole texts on this. This is a simple way of understanding how we are different from this body, mind, intellect, etc. And eventually we come to realize We are that awareness in which everything appears. This body, mind, intellect, ego appears. So first, I am that pure awareness, different from all of this. And then second is, I am that pure awareness in which all of this appears. All of this appears. So there is Advaita, there's oneness. It's not that they're actually different, it's that they are appearances. They are appearances in me. This is where we have to come to. So when we do this process and we think about it, we reflect upon it clearly and deeply, that is called mananam. That is called chewing. I understand how I am pure awareness. I understand how the world is an appearance on me awareness. Now that chewing also takes quite some time, because a lot of doubts may arise. Some things may be clear, some things may not be so clear. So in that process of chewing, hold that doubt, hold it until you really, really clarify it to the T. Hold it and make sure it's really clarified so that that doubt doesn't come up again. Because if the doubt comes up again, it means I have not understood. We should understand Vedanta so well that we can explain it in such simple, simple words, because we have that much clarity. So the chewing has to happen. Now, after this chewing or mananam, just like food, we digest it, right? But what happens to us very often is we cannot digest this mananam, this reflection. We're not able to digest it. So like undigested food that we vomit out or that we excrete, this knowledge that we chewed on, we cannot digest it. It cannot prove to serve our body and mind. It cannot nourish them. And the reason is because our minds are highly unprepared. They're unprepared. So this process of contemplation, which is the individuality offering up themselves to totality, is what we call nididhyasana. And in this process, through a single pointed thought flow, we just focus on that one thought alone. That I am not this body, this mind, this intellect, with complete understanding, that I am pure awareness, bliss. This is called that Brahmajnana Yajna, the offering of the individual to the Supreme Self. One is offering up themselves. It is something that we do in our thinking. Just like the wave offers themselves to water. What happens when the wave offers themselves to water? The wave says that I lose myself. I offer myself to you, and I am not this wave, though up and down, it goes up and down. I'm actually this infinite water in which all waves appear. So I'm not this single individual wave. I am this infinite water in which all waves appear. So I am not this individuality, jiva. I am this pure awareness in which all jivas, jagat, all the jivas, the entire worlds we even have, appear. This is the offering. So it is an offering of deep understanding along with deep focus. This is called the process of contemplation. When we're able to focus, understand, and let go of everything else and offer ourselves into the fire of Brahma. And that what happens when we do that, that whole individuality dissolves, completely dissolves. And one rises, one awakens. and one understands who they truly are. This is also a yajna. This is also a yajna. So yajna is not just a physical thing. At the seat of contemplation, we also perform a yajna. This is what is meant by contemplation. Okay? So I hope now that that is clear. Now some people will ask, now what should I contemplate on? If we are contemplating in this way, it should be a mahavakya. Mahavakya means one of the statements, the great statements. I am Brahman, that thou art. But it in whatever language you want, in whatever way you heard it, in whatever way that's, sinks into your heart, in that way you contemplate. That is all up to you, because you have to use something that just draws your mind. When we love something, our mind just flows there very easily. So use something that draws your mind. Okay? Now, coming to verse 26. Now in verse 26, we also went through this very, very briefly. So today I want to go into it deeper. And today I will go through it now with explaining this word samyama. Okay? So this is now the third yajna. So first yajna, Daiva yajna. Second yajna, Brahma Jnana yajna. Right? So Brahma Jnana yajna, the yajna of knowledge. The first one was the worship of the Devatas. Second is worship of Brahman through knowledge. Third one is Samyama yajna. Samyama yajna. Samyama means restraint. Yamas and niyamas, right? Yama, restraints, to abstain. Samyama, to abstain well. Samyama. What happens here in the first line of verse 26? Shrotradi indriyani anye. All of our sense organs, sense faculties of hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, all of that, right? Samyama agnishu juvvati. We offer it in the fire of restraint. So here it's the fire of restraint. Who is able to do this? One who is a yogi, one who is practicing this Ashtanga yoga. This word samyama in the Yoga Sutras, it means dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Okay, so first we will go to pratyahara, then dharana, dhyana, samadhi. What do you mean by restraining your sense organs? What does that mean? See, what happens is our sense organs, they have the tendency to go out. Sense organs and the mind also. The sense organs and the mind, because mind is also an indriya. It's also a faculty. So sense organs in the mind have tendencies to keep going out and keep going out. The eyes keep going out, the ears, the tongue, all of it, they have the tendency to just go outward. So the first step that a seeker should do is take that mind, take those senses and put it exactly where it needs to be. So right now, if my mind is wandering somewhere, take that mind and put it exactly where it needs to be, here in Zoom. That is called pratyahara. When we physically, mentally take that indriya and put it where it needs to go, that's called pratyahara. Now, where does it need to go? Where it needs to go is our object of contemplation. So, if we are contemplating on that great truth, Brahman, which is this, it needs to go there. If we are contemplating on Ishta Devata, it needs to go there. If we are contemplating on Gayatri Mantra, it needs to go there. So dharana is when I tie my mind to that object. Desha bandha chittasya. I tie my mind. Literally, you imagine yourself making a knot. So I'll give an example of Gayatri Mantra, because so many of us have done that Gayatri Mantra, right? You take the mind and literally tie it to Surya Devata or that mantra. You tie it. That tying of the mind, it's called dharana. Now, once your mind is tied to that object, what do? Dhyana. Dhyana means tatra pratyaya ekatanata, means that there, where you tied it. Let's say Surya Devata. I tied it to Surya Devata, and I am contemplating on Surya Devata in my heart center. Now, dhyana means focus all of the thoughts there. Try to focus all of the thoughts there. And it might get interrupted here and there. That's okay. Whenever it gets interrupted, just bring it back. Just bring it back and learn the art of bringing it back. And finally, we get to samadhi. In samadhi, what happens is there's an effortless, single-pointed thought flow, uninterrupted. That is savikalpa samadhi. And then in nirvikalpa samadhi, the thought is absorbed in that very object. This process, this threefold process, is called samyama, or restraint. So in the verse 26, in the first line, one meaning is taking all of our sense organs and offering it into the fire of restraint. That let me focus on what I need to focus on. Now, let us say you are not focusing on any mantra, on any Ishta Devata. You're not doing it as a contemplative exercise. Even if we do it in daily life for our work or for whatever we need to do for the day, it is such a great practice. That practice of taking the senses and mind away from where it shouldn't be to where it should be, and then fixing it there, letting it flow there, that is a yajna. That is a yajna. And that's called focus. Nowadays, we're inundated with so many things. We're trying to focus on one thing in the internet, and then so many things will pop up. We're trying to walk nicely, and then the road is, especially in New York City, there's so many screens on different posters, and everything is moving and moving to catch our attention. So many people are competing for our attention. Our attention is the most expensive thing in this world today. Everyone's competing for it. Everybody wants to buy it and make money off of it. So therefore, take care of your attention and see that you can make your mind be where it needs to be. Because when that focus is there, then we are at our best. So even if we're not doing it at the seat of contemplation, even if it's just in our daily life, that yajna is extremely important. Just one slip, and so many things can, topple over. One slip by any driver, an accident can happen. One slip by any athlete, the game can be lost. One slip and the Titanic happened. Just these little slips are because of only that, our lack of alertness. This is the first line. Now the second line, so if the third yajna is samyama yajna, the yoga of restraint, the third yajna, the fourth yajna is vishaya grahana yajna, means offering objects to the fire of the senses. So what does this mean? Shabdadin Vishaya. Shabdadin Vishaya means all of these objects, sight, smell, taste, sound, all of these objects, offering it to our senses. That is called a yajna. So now in this yajna, this fourth yajna, what's being emphasized here is really, what are we putting into our senses and mind? See, everything, just imagine now, here, earlier, what was the fire? The fire was a fire of restraint. Here, the fire is our sense organs in our mind. This is the fire. So what are we putting into our sense organs and mind? How much of it are we putting in? And with what attitude are we approaching it? Because every little thing is making an impression on my senses and mind. My mind is made of all the things that I see, hear, smell, taste, touch. So what am I putting in? That's also a yajna. Being alert and aware about how I'm living and how much I'm putting in. And the third, so what am I putting in? Question number 1. How much am I putting in? Question number 2. And what is question number 3? Am I a master of it or a slave of it? Okay, so I'll give you one example. I'm putting in coffee, okay? Coffee, I choose to put in coffee. So now think about, is it okay to put in coffee? Now, how much of it am I putting in? Is it 5 cups, 4 cups, 3 cups? How much of it am I putting in? How often am I putting in? And the third is, am I still a master of it or have I become a slave? If I'm a master of coffee, it means I can tell the coffee, I'm going to have you once a day. I'm going to have you early in the morning and my 1 cup, and I'm going to enjoy. If I'm a slave to it, then the coffee is going to say, hey, you need me 4 times a day. And after my 1 cup, even if I don't want any more, coffee is going to say, hey, come pick me up. Take me. I know you want me now, and have this drink of coffee. So am I a master or am I slave? If I'm a master of my senses and mind, that is called yajna. If I am a slave of my senses and mind, it's called bandha. I am bound. These inert objects, they have, these inert objects, it's very funny. Guruji told us one time, they are not even capable of love, or saying, I care for you, I want you. Right? You think of coffee, you think of the phone, you think of the computer. They're not capable of saying, I love you and I care for you and I want you. But yet we run to them like anything, isn't it? Now, how is it that we've become bound? How is it that something inert has the capacity to take us under their control? That is something we cannot comprehend. But that's exactly what happens. So this yajna of Vishaya Grahana means of being able to experience objects with utmost mastery is a yajna. It's a worship. It's a way of worshiping God. This is very, very beautiful. Okay. Now, let us go to the next yajna. Okay, now we're in verse 27. All right. Sarvani indriya karmani.
Sarvani indriya karmani.
Prana karmani chapare.
Prana karmani chapare.
Atma samyama yogagnau.
Atma samyama yogagnau.
Juhvati jnana deepite.
Juhvati jnana deepite.
Sarvani indriya karmani. Prana karmani chapare. Atma samyama yogagnau. Juhvati Jnana Deepite. So let us see this verse. Sarvani means all indriyas. Indriyas means the senses and the mind, the faculties of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, and the mind and the organs also, the karmendriyas, speech, grasping, locomotion, reproduction, excretion, all of this, karmani, all the functions of these, sense organs and organs of action in the mind, prana karmani, all the functions of the prana, cha apare. So others, they jufvati, they offer all the functions of the senses, mind, all the functions of the pranas, they offer it where Atma Samyama Yog Agno. They offer it in the fire of the yoga of self-restraint. Atma Samyama Yoga Agno and Jnana Deepite. What is this fire? What is this fire like? Jnana Deepite. It's kindled by knowledge. So others, again, sacrifice all the functions of the senses and the functions of breath in the fire of the yoga of self-restraint kindled by knowledge. So what does this mean? We are now on the fifth yajna, yajna number 5. Atma Samyama Yajna, which means the worship of the worship in the yoga of self-restraint, right? The worship of yoga of self-restraint. Now, how is this different from the first one? Okay. Now, this one is going a little bit deeper. So we had that Samyama Yoga where you're taking your mind away from the object and you're putting it in your object of contemplation. Now here, it specifically says you are putting your mind in the self. Putting your mind in the self. How so? It says Jnana Deepite. Jnana Deepite means in the light of that knowledge, in the light of that awareness, that person, that being, who is this being, this yogi, is restraining all of the functions and just putting it in the self. So this is that deep state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And I'll explain also how this can be applied to us. First, what do we mean? The functions of the eyes, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, restraining all of those functions. The functions of all the organs of actions, grasping, moving, locomotion, speaking, restraining all of that. Excretion, restraining that. Function of the mind, thinking, desiring, willing, the intellect, restraining that. Restraining all of this, completely restraining it and putting it in that fire of the self. Atma Yoga Samyama, the fire of the self, in that restraint. So putting it in that samadhi, being absolutely still. So nothing is moving. Nothing is operating as it should. They're not operating out in their fields. Everything is completely within, centered within. So we see that in the lives of great saints and sages, when they're in that deep samadhi, what happens is all of these processes stop. Even the digestion seems to halt, that circulation, everything seems to halt. The breath slows down. There's no thinking in the mind, no willing in the intellect, nothing. Everything just comes to some kind of halt or slow down. This happens also in bears when they hibernate. So some people might say, is it really true for jnanis? We've seen in the lives of like Ramana Maharshi Ji, right? How he sits under the cave and that's it. No movement. So even bears, when they hibernate, the same thing. All of their senses are restrained. Everything is all in restraint. But are they practicing this yajna? No. Why? Jnana deepite means it is in with that knowledge. With that knowledge, they are offering themselves into this fire of the self. In complete restraint, they're offering themselves in the fire. Now, how is this different from Brahma Yajna? That is a very good question. In Brahma Yajna, right, there is that process still going on, that nididhyasana, right? That process still going on, that I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am that awareness. There is still that mind, that thought flow that's still happening in that Brahma Jnana Yajna that we saw, right? This one is that person is completely absorbed in that samadhi, completely absorbed. Huh? Is that clear? So this is also a yajna. Everything just stops, comes to a standstill. Now, one might say, okay, but I am not now in that plane where I can practice nirvikalpa samadhi. So you please tell me, how can I practice this yajna in my life? For us, this is the yajna of silence. The yajna of silence. Silence is one of the most important things we need to do in our life, because all the clarity that we need, all the answers that we are seeking, everything comes in this silence. The sound of silence is the voice of God. So if we want to hear the voice of God, it is only in silence. So whether it is me putting or us putting our phones on airplane mode or keeping it away for a while, restraining ourselves from things, objects, restraining ourselves from television for a while, or restraining ourselves from people, from interacting with people for a while, that is also a yajna. That is also an offering. So like in the morning, especially in the morning, they say to just do our sadhana, sit, do sadhana, not speak to anybody until one is completely cleansed and rooted in that knowledge. Because then when we express, when we speak, when we interact, we will be doing it from the highest plane. But sometimes we don't even give ourselves an opportunity to do this. So find a fixed time where we can make this work, whether it's half an hour a day, 45 minutes a day, in the night, whether it's abstaining from a particular gadget or thing or gathering. This is our yajna. And just be. Just be. Silence is actually the greatest thing. But remember one important point, jnana deepite. When in silence, what does one do? Keep the mind in knowledge. Keep the mind in knowledge. That same silence can be very dangerous to one who is not prepared for it. It can be very dangerous. But for one who has this knowledge, then they can easily go into that silence and just be there. This is Atma Samyama Yajna. For 5. So find some time, some place for silence. It is your conversation with Bhagavad, and I tell you, it works wonders. If you're looking for a best friend in life, that best friend is silence. It will reveal everything to you, nothing else required. Sometimes we keep questioning, we keep looking for answers, we keep going there, we keep going here, but it's really true. All our saints and sages have said, all the answers lie within you. They're just waiting to come out, but we're not ready to receive. That is all that's happening. Okay. Now here, verse number 28. More yajnas are elaborated here. Dravya yajnastapo yajnaha.
द्रव्ययज्ञास्तपो यज्ञाः
Yoga yajnastatha pare.
योगयज्ञास्तथा परे
Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha.
स्वाध्यायज्ञानयज्ञाश्च
Yataya samshitavrataha.
यतयः संशितव्रताः
Dravya yajnastapo yajnaha. Yoga yajnastatha pare. Swadhyaya jnana yajnascha. Yataya samshitavrataha. Okay, yataya samshitavrataha. So here, now some commentators have said here in this verse, there's 5 yajnas, some have said 6 yajnas. So we will look at them in both ways, okay? Right, yajna number 6, dravya yajna. Dravya yajna, those who offer wealth or material things as sacrifice. So dravya yajnaha, these are actually the people who offer wealth or materials as sacrifice. Tapo yajnaha, number 7, those who offer austerity as sacrifice. Then yoga yajnaha, those who offer yoga as a sacrifice. We will see that. Tatha pare, again others, swadhyaya yajnaha. So 6, 7, 8. Swadhyaya yajnaha. Number 9, those who offer the study of scriptures and knowledge as a sacrifice. Jnana yajnaha. Jnana yajnaha. So swadhyaya and jnana. We will see the difference between them. Swadhyaya, jnana, 9 and 10. Then some people count yataya samshita vrataha, the persons who offer vows as a sacrifice, 11. So some count that as 11. Yataya samshita vrataha, the ascetics who are persons of rigid vows. So others again offer wealth, austerity, and yoga as a sacrifice, while ascetics of self-restraint and rigid vows offer study of scriptures and knowledge as a sacrifice. Okay, so first let's look at dravya yajna, those who offer wealth. So one of the most beautiful customs in Sanatana Dharma is dravya yajna, offering our wealth, offering materials, offering things that we own as a sacrifice. What does this dravya yajna do? Why is it so important? And this comes in chapter 17 of the Bhagavad Gita. So I know by the time we get to chapter 17, you're all going to forget this. So I don't mind telling you now. And then again, when we come to chapter 17, I'll tell you again. And you'll feel like it's new knowledge. So what is this dravya yajna? See, the whole point is charity, to get rid of mindness, to come to get rid of I-ness. When we do charity, we say, I am giving away my clothes. I'm giving away my clothes. I'm giving away my car. I am giving away my seva, my time. I am giving away, my talent, my ability. This is all nice, but these statements are so incredibly wrong, because we say I'm giving away my car like it's really mine in the first place. My clothes, my house, like it's really mine. My talent, like it's really mine. This whole idea that I am giving something of mine away is in itself a wrong thought, because nothing is ours. What is ours? What can we call mine? There's nothing in this world that you and I can say that we earned. We did everything to get it in our own right. Nothing. If I say this Bhagavad Gita, this course is mine, absolutely false. Because it all stems from the Bhagavad Gita, from Bhagavan Vedavyasji, from Sri Krishna, from Arjuna, from Puja Gurudev, from all our great masters, from people who printed this book, to people who recited this, who spoke about this. So many people are into this. So how can we even say, this is mine? So the whole idea of charity is to get rid of mineness. When we start giving things away, we try to get rid of possessiveness. And then we begin to understand that, hey, nothing is really mine. And in fact, even this body, even this mind, even the person who's giving is not really me. So the purpose of Dravya Yajna is to realize that actually nothing is ours and we are not even the giver. This is Dravya Yajna. Huh? So this is why dana is so important, to help us distance ourselves from all of it. Like we say in the Aarti, Tera tujhko arapan. I am giving to you what is already yours. So, but here we're saying, I'm not even the one giving the thing which is yours. You are giving what is yours to you. That is called Dravya Yajna. You are giving what's yours to you. So it is all just happening through your grace and your blessings. Dravya Yajna. And not only is it, for us to give or for us to perform this sacrifice, to perform this, but also to acknowledge all those who have done this sacrifice. All those who have given so much, in the sense that through them, so many things have been happening. I'll give you one example. There is Ahilyabai Holkar. Now, Ahilyabai, she was a great, great queen in Bharat. She ruled for 30 years. And in her reign, I mean, it's absolutely incredible. She had so much money in her treasury, her own personal money and the money of her kingdom. What did she do? She went far beyond her kingdom and she reconstructed the temples of Bharat. And now I'm not talking about one temple, two temples, hundreds of temples. Dwaraka, Kashi Vishwanath, some of the Jyotirlinga sites. She has even not only the pilgrimage sites, not only the temples, but the roads to get there, the dharmashalas for people to stay, the water tanks, the wells. She has devoted her life to reconstructing all of this in Bharat. And so part of Dravya Yajna is also to understand from our side that when we visit a place, how much must be involved in it? How many people must have worked for it? We're so quick to criticize. We go to a temple or we go to a pilgrimage site and we say, oh, look, there's the bathrooms are terrible here. Look, we have to walk so much. They don't even have this. They don't even have that. But just take a moment and think about how many people pave the path, first of all, to walk. Can you just imagine what it's like to pave a road in the Himalayas? Think about how many people have, left their homes so that a livelihood, stores and things like that can be provided for all the pilgrims who come, yatris who come. So part of Dravya Yajna is also before even criticism enters, let appreciation enter. Let appreciation enter. what it must have taken for people to build, preserve, sustain this. How much Dravya Yajna has been done through them. So, not only through us, but through them. What is that appreciation? We are too quick to criticize. But sometimes, or rather always, we need to appreciate. Tapo Yajna. I'll finish this 1 quarter so that at least 1 quarter can be done. Tapas is something that we all know already. What is tapas basically? Tapaha, is that ability to conserve our energy and channel it to a higher state, a higher cause, a higher ideal. That's called tapas. Normally, what happens is so much of our energy is dissipated in the whole day. And we complain, I don't have time. No, you and I, we don't have focus. Time is there. We don't have focus. That is the problem. It's not time. Because if you and I really conserved our energy, we're very careful about the way we spent it, I guarantee you we will have more than enough time to do every single thing that needs to be done. This is called tapas. And tapas is the greatest sign of love. Why? Because when I conserve my energy, when I become more disciplined, then I can give you more. I can love you more. I can do more for you and serve you. But when I let my energy dissipate into all of these things and I become faltu and just lay in the couch, I cannot do anything for you. So that's why tapas itself is a yajna. Itself is a worship. And tapas is a great sign of love. Very nicely, our Swami Shantanandaji was telling us that in our culture, he said, we never saw our parents say, I love you to each other and all of these things. But what we saw was everyone was so rooted in their dharma. So rooted in their dharma. And that in itself is a great sign of love. Okay. So the rest of the yajnas, we will continue next week. We will stop here. So what is our reflection for this week? Pick a yajna. Whether I am doing the yajna of prayer, praying to the devatas for something, whether I am contemplating on that truth, whether I am offering my mind and senses to the fire of restraint, whether I am offering all the objects to my senses with complete awareness, whether I am offering everything to that self and just remaining quiet, or whether I am giving, but realizing I'm not the giver, or conserving my energy so I can serve every single being that I come across. Choose 1 or 2 or 3 and keep it in your mind the whole week. Okay? All right, we'll say the closing prayer. Then I have some announcements for you, and then we'll have a question answer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.